Every single morning you wake up, and there it is again, that frustrating sensation as if someone placed a thick piece of damp cotton in your throat while you slept, or worse, as if you swallowed something sticky that just won't move up or down. You clear your throat once, twice, 10 times throughout the day, in meetings, at the grocery store, during conversations with friends, and people start giving you that look. You've tried everything, ignored it, drank more water, even bought those expensive throat lozenges, yet nothing changes. That stubborn mucus remains, stealing your clear voice and making you feel self-conscious every time you need to speak. Here's what nobody's telling you, and here's why I'm making this video today. That constant throat mucus you're experiencing isn't just bad luck. It's not simply getting older, and it's definitely not something you should accept as normal. There's a hidden culprit behind it, something so unexpected that most people, even many doctors, completely miss it. And once you identify this culprit and make a few strategic changes, especially with the foods you're eating, that stubborn mucus can disappear within days, not months. I'm Dr. Eleanor Grace Whitford, and I've spent 18 years specializing in internal medicine and respiratory health for adults. I completed my medical training at Harvard Medical School and did advanced work in throat and voice disorders at Stanford University. Over nearly 2 decades of clinical practice, I've helped hundreds of patients solve their chronic throat mucus problems, and what I've learned might surprise you. The solution isn't more medication, it's understanding what's actually causing the problem and making targeted changes that address the root cause. Today, I'm going to reveal the hidden culprit that's probably causing your throat mucus, show you the 5 foods that are making it dramatically worse without you realizing it, and give you 3 powerful foods that can clear your throat naturally and quickly. This isn't theory, this is practical information you can use, starting today, to finally get relief from that annoying constant throat clearing. Before we dive in, please take 2 seconds to hit that like button. It helps this information reach more people who are struggling with the same frustrating problem you're dealing with right now. Let's start with something crucial that most people don't understand about mucus. Your body produces between 1 and 2 liters of mucus every single day, and this is completely normal and healthy. Mucus is actually your friend, your body's protective shield that traps dust, viruses, bacteria, and all sorts of irritants before they can reach your lungs and cause serious problems. It's also a lubricant that keeps your airways moist and functioning smoothly. The problem isn't that your body produces mucus. The problem is when that mucus becomes thick, sticky, and refuses to move. It's like the difference between water flowing smoothly down a drain versus thick syrup that just sits there and clogs everything up. When mucus gets too thick, it accumulates in your throat, triggers your cough reflex, makes you feel like you constantly need to clear your throat, and can even affect your voice quality. So what makes mucus go from smooth and manageable to thick and stubborn? This is where the hidden culprit comes in, and I need you to pay very close attention because this information could be life-changing for you. The number 1 hidden culprit behind constant throat mucus is something called silent reflux, and it's completely different from the heartburn or acid reflux you might be familiar with. Let me explain why this is so important and why it's missed so often. Regular acid reflux, what doctors call GERD, causes that burning sensation in your chest, that sour taste in your mouth, that obvious discomfort that makes you reach for antacids. You know when you have it because it's uncomfortable and hard to ignore. But silent reflux, officially called laryngopharyngeal reflux or LPR, is completely different and much more sneaky. With silent reflux, stomach acid and digestive enzymes travel up from your stomach, past your esophagus, and reach your throat, voice box, and even the back of your nasal passages. But here's the tricky part. It doesn't cause the classic burning sensation. Why? Because your throat and voice box are much more sensitive than your esophagus, and the acid damages them in different ways. Instead of burning pain, silent reflux causes inflammation, irritation, and triggers your throat to produce excessive amounts of thick, sticky mucus as a protective response. Think of it this way: your stomach contains powerful digestive acid and an enzyme called pepsin that's designed to break down food. When this pepsin travels up to your throat, it gets activated by any acidic environment and literally starts digesting the delicate tissues of your throat. Your throat, sensing this attack, goes into defense mode and cranks up mucus production to try to protect itself. But this creates a vicious cycle. More acid means more irritation, which means more mucus, which makes you clear your throat more, which can actually make the reflux worse. Studies from major medical centres, including the Mayo Clinic, have found that up to 60% of people with chronic throat mucus actually have silent reflux as the underlying cause, yet most of them have no idea because they don't experience typical heartburn symptoms. They think it's allergies, they think it's postnasal drip, they think it's just getting older, when in reality their stomach acid is the real problem. How do you know if silent reflux might be your hidden culprit? Here are the key signs. You wake up with a hoarse voice or need to clear your throat repeatedly in the morning. You have that sensation of something stuck in your throat, like a lump or glob that won't go away. You experience more throat clearing after eating, especially after meals. You might have a chronic cough that's dry and irritating, but not related to a cold or infection. Your throat mucus gets noticeably worse when you bend over or lie down flat. You sometimes taste something sour or bitter in your mouth, especially in the morning, but it's not strong enough to call heartburn. If you identified with 2 or more of these signs, there's a very high probability that silent reflux is your hidden culprit. And here's the good news. Once you know this is the problem, you can take specific actions to fix it, and that includes being very strategic about which foods you eat and which you avoid. First comment. CTA. This is such an important revelation for many people. Have you been experiencing throat mucus along with any of these silent reflux symptoms I just described? Which specific symptom resonates most with your experience? Please share in the comments. Your story could help others recognize their own patterns. Now let's talk about postnasal drip, which is the second major cause of constant throat mucus, and it often works together with silent reflux to make your symptoms even worse. Postnasal drip happens when excess mucus from your nasal passages and sinuses drips down the back of your throat instead of flowing out through your nose like it should. Here's what many people don't realize. You can have chronic sinus inflammation or mild sinusitis without experiencing the classic symptoms like facial pain, severe congestion, or headaches. Especially as we get older, sinus problems can be subtle. You might just have a slight stuffy feeling at night or wake up with some congestion that clears after an hour. But meanwhile, all night long while you're sleeping, mucus has been slowly dripping from your sinuses down the back of your throat. This mucus pools in an area called the vallecula, which is a small pocket where your tongue meets your throat. And when you wake up, there's that familiar glob of mucus that makes you cough and clear your throat repeatedly. The problem is that many people treat this with over-the-counter antihistamines, thinking they'll dry up the mucus and solve the problem. But here's what actually happens. Antihistamines do dry up some of the mucus production, but they make the remaining mucus much thicker and stickier, which means it's even harder to clear from your throat. You end up with less mucus, but it's like glue, and that's actually worse than having more mucus that's thinner and easier to manage. The real solution for postnasal drip isn't drying everything out. It's about keeping your nasal passages clean and keeping your mucus thin and flowing properly, which brings us to hydration and certain specific foods that can help tremendously. We'll get to those powerful mucus-clearing foods in just a moment. Before we move forward, I want to make sure you don't miss the practical protocol I'm going to share at the end of this video. If you want access to exclusive content where I go even deeper into these solutions, consider becoming a channel member. Members get detailed guides, direct interaction with me, and early access to all new videos. Click the join button below if this interests you. Now let's get to what you've been waiting for, the 5 foods that are making your throat mucus dramatically worse, probably without you even realizing it. These are foods that either trigger more acid production, thicken your mucus, or irritate your throat tissues, and avoiding them can make a massive difference in just a few days. Food number 1 making it worse is dairy products, especially whole milk, cheese, and ice cream. Now, I need to be scientifically accurate here. Dairy doesn't actually create more mucus from nothing, but here's what it does. Dairy contains a protein called casein, and when casein mixes with the mucus already in your throat, especially if you're slightly dehydrated, it makes that mucus feel thicker and stickier. It's like adding glue to something that's already sticky. Many of my patients report that when they reduce dairy intake, especially in the evening, their morning throat mucus improves significantly within 3 to 4 days. Food number 2 making it worse is sugar and sweetened foods. This includes candies, pastries, sweetened beverages, and even that popular remedy of honey and lemon that people take for throat problems. Here's the issue. Sugar is hygroscopic, which means it actually pulls water out of your cells through a process called osmosis. When you consume a lot of sugar, it dehydrates the mucous membranes in your throat, making your mucus thicker and harder to move. Additionally, sugar feeds bacteria in your mouth and throat, which can increase inflammation and mucus production. That sweet throat lozenge you're sucking on might give temporary relief, but it's actually making your underlying problem worse. Food number 3 making it worse is fried and fatty foods. Foods like French fries, fried chicken, fatty cuts of meat, heavy cream sauces, and greasy fast food are terrible for throat mucus. And here's why. These foods slow down your digestion significantly and relax the lower esophageal sphincter, which is the valve between your stomach and esophagus. When this valve relaxes, it opens the door for acid and digestive enzymes to flow upward toward your throat, triggering that silent reflux we talked about earlier. If you eat fatty foods within 3 hours of bedtime, you're setting yourself up for a night of acid creeping into your throat and a morning full of thick mucus and throat clearing. Food number 4 making it worse is tomatoes and tomato-based products. This includes pasta sauce, pizza sauce, ketchup, and tomato soup. Tomatoes are highly acidic with a pH around 4, and they also contain compounds that relax the esophageal sphincter. For people with silent reflux, tomatoes are a double trigger. They increase stomach acid production, and they make it easier for that acid to travel upward. Many of my patients notice dramatic improvement when they eliminate tomato products for just 1 week. Food number 5 making it worse is coffee and caffeinated beverages, especially when consumed after 2 in the afternoon or on an empty stomach. Caffeine stimulates acid production in your stomach and also relaxes the esophageal sphincter, creating perfect conditions for reflux. Additionally, coffee is dehydrating, which thickens your mucus. If you're someone who drinks multiple cups of coffee throughout the day and wonders why your throat always feels full of mucus, this could be a major factor. Switching to herbal tea or limiting coffee to 1 cup in the morning can make a significant difference. Please hit that like button if you're finding this information valuable and eye-opening. Now here's the encouraging part. Just as there are foods that make throat mucus worse, there are powerful foods that can actually help clear it, thin it out, and reduce the inflammation causing the problem in the first place. Let me share the 3 most effective mucus-clearing foods that you can start using today. Mucus-clearing food number 1 is warm water with a pinch of sea salt, and I'm going to tell you exactly how to use this. First thing in the morning, before you eat or drink anything else, drink 2 full glasses of warm water, not hot, not cold, but comfortably warm, with just a tiny pinch of natural sea salt dissolved in it. Why does this work so powerfully? The warm temperature helps liquefy thick mucus that's accumulated overnight. The salt provides electrolytes that support proper hydration at the cellular level, and drinking it first thing kickstarts your digestive system and helps flush your throat clean. The key is consistency. Do this every single morning for at least 5 days, and you'll notice a dramatic difference in how much easier it is to clear your throat and how much less mucus you're dealing with overall. Then drink another glass of warm water before bed. This keeps your mucus thin throughout the night and reduces that morning glob of phlegm that's been bothering you. Mucus clearing food number 2 is fresh ginger, and there are specific ways to use it for maximum benefit. Ginger contains powerful natural compounds called gingerols and shogalls that have anti-inflammatory properties and help reduce mucus production at the source. Here's what I recommend. Slice fresh ginger root into thin pieces, about the size of a quarter. Use 4 or 5 slices and steep them in hot water for 10 minutes to make ginger tea. Drink this twice a day, once mid-morning and once in the evening. You can add a tiny bit of raw honey if you must, but remember that sugar counteracts the benefits, so use it very sparingly. Ginger doesn't just thin mucus, it actually reduces the inflammation in your throat that's triggering excessive mucus production in the first place. Many of my patients report noticeable improvement within 48 hours of starting a consistent ginger tea routine. Mucus clearing food number 3 is warm bone broth or vegetable broth. This might surprise you, but it's incredibly effective. A good quality broth made from bones or vegetables provides hydration in a form that your body absorbs very efficiently. It delivers minerals like magnesium and potassium that support proper fluid balance, and the warmth helps loosen thick mucus. Additionally, bone broth contains compounds that support gut health, and there's a strong connection between gut inflammation and throat mucus, especially if silent reflux is your underlying problem. I recommend having 1 cup of warm broth mid-afternoon, which is often when people notice their throat mucus getting worse. The broth hydrates you, provides nourishment, and gives your throat a gentle cleanse. Avoid broths that are high in sodium or contain artificial ingredients, as these can actually make things worse. Second comment, CTA. Now, I'd love to hear from you about your own experience with foods and throat mucus. Have you noticed that certain foods or drinks make your throat mucus worse? Or have you tried any natural remedies that seem to help? Please share your observations in the comments below. What you share could provide valuable insights for others watching this video. Let me share a real story from my practice that perfectly illustrates how powerful these changes can be. I had a patient named Margaret, a 58-year-old woman who came to me absolutely frustrated. She'd been dealing with constant throat mucus for over a year. She was clearing her throat so often during the day that her co-workers would comment on it. She'd tried allergy medications, cough syrups, throat sprays. Nothing worked for more than a day or 2. When I examined Margaret and reviewed her habits, I discovered several key problems. She was drinking 3 to 4 cups of coffee daily, often on an empty stomach. She loved cheese and had it with almost every meal. She ate dinner late, usually around 8 or 9 at night, often including tomato sauce or other acidic foods, and she was barely drinking any water, maybe 3 or 4 glasses total throughout the entire day. I explained to Margaret about silent reflux and how her food choices were creating a perfect storm for constant throat mucus. She was skeptical at first. She told me she'd been eating this way for years, and the mucus problem had only started recently. I explained that sometimes our bodies reach a tipping point where they can no longer compensate for these irritants, especially as we get older and our digestive system becomes more sensitive. Margaret agreed to try my protocol for 3 weeks. Here's what we did. We eliminated coffee after 10 in the morning and switched her afternoon cups to herbal tea. We removed all dairy products for the trial period. We moved her dinner time to 6:30 at night and eliminated tomatoes, fried foods, and heavy sauces. We started her on warm water with sea salt every morning and before bed. We added ginger tea twice daily. We included a cup of bone broth in the afternoon. The first week, Margaret noticed a small improvement, but wasn't convinced yet. By the end of week 2, she called my office specifically to tell me that she'd gone an entire day without clearing her throat once, something that hadn't happened in over a year. By week 3, her chronic throat mucus was 90% resolved. She told me it felt like a miracle, but it wasn't a miracle. It was simply identifying the hidden culprit and addressing it systematically. Margaret's story isn't unique. I've seen similar transformations dozens of times. The key is understanding what's actually causing your throat mucus, and then being consistent with the changes that address those root causes. Now let me give you a quick assessment you can do right now to determine if silent reflux is likely your hidden culprit. Answer these questions honestly. Do you clear your throat more frequently in the morning or after eating? Do you ever wake up with a sour or bitter taste in your mouth, even if it's mild? Do you have a sensation of something stuck in your throat, like a lump or ball of mucus that won't go away? Does your voice sound hoarse or rough, especially in the morning? Do you experience a dry cough that's not related to a cold or illness? Does your throat mucus get worse when you bend over or lie down flat? If you answered yes to 3 or more of these questions, there's a very high probability that silent reflux is your primary problem, and the food changes I've described today will likely help you significantly. If you answered yes to only 1 or 2, post-nasal drip or environmental irritants might be playing a bigger role, but the food changes will still help because they reduce inflammation and support better mucus consistency regardless of the exact cause. Let me now give you a practical 72-hour action plan that you can start today. This is a condensed protocol designed to give you noticeable results quickly so you can see for yourself how powerful these changes are. Day 1, morning protocol. First thing when you wake up, drink 2 full glasses of warm water with a pinch of sea salt. Have only 1 cup of coffee if you must, before 10 in the morning, then switch to herbal tea or ginger tea. Eliminate all dairy products completely, no milk, cheese, yogurt, or ice cream. Move your dinner time to at least 3 hours before bed and make it a light meal with no tomatoes, fried foods, or heavy fats. Before sleep, drink 1 more glass of warm water and sleep with your head elevated by placing a wedge pillow under your upper body or raising the head of your bed by 4 to 6 inches. Day 2, building momentum. Continue the warm water protocol morning and night. Add ginger tea, make fresh ginger tea, and drink it mid-morning and again in the evening. Add bone broth. Have 1 cup of warm bone broth or vegetable broth in the afternoon. Continue avoiding dairy, coffee after 10, tomatoes, fried foods, and sugary items. Practice conscious throat awareness every time you feel the urge to clear your throat. Take a small sip of water instead and swallow gently rather than making that harsh clearing sound. This breaks the irritation cycle. Day 3, reinforcing habits. Maintain all the changes from days 1 and 2. Start nasal rinses if you have post-nasal drip symptoms. Begin using a saline nasal rinse twice daily, once in the morning and once before bed. This removes excess mucus before it can drip down your throat. Monitor your progress. Pay attention to how your throat feels. Is the mucus thinner? Are you clearing your throat less frequently? Do you wake up feeling better? Most people notice significant improvement by day 3, but remember you're reversing a pattern that may have been building for months or even years, so be patient and consistent. Third comment. CTA, I'd love to know if you're going to try this 72-hour protocol. What's the biggest change you'll need to make? Is it giving up dairy, cutting back on coffee, or changing your dinner timing? Share your commitment in the comments below. When you publicly commit to trying something, you're much more likely to follow through, and your comment might inspire others to join you. Before we wrap up, I need to give you some important medical guidance about when you should see a doctor rather than trying to manage this on your own. While throat mucus is usually benign and responds well to the changes I've described, there are certain red flag symptoms that require professional evaluation. Seek medical attention if your mucus has a foul smell, like rotten or infected tissue, if you see streaks or spots of blood in your mucus, even small amounts, if you develop a fever above 100 degrees Fahrenheit, along with your throat mucus, if you're losing weight without trying or have decreased appetite, or if your symptoms persist for more than 2 weeks, despite following all the recommendations in this video. These symptoms could indicate a bacterial infection, bronchitis, or in rare cases, something more serious that needs diagnosis and treatment. Additionally, certain medical conditions require modifications to the advice I've given. If you have severe heart failure, kidney disease, or are on medications like diuretics, blood thinners, or acid reducers, please consult with your doctor before making significant dietary changes or adding supplements. The natural approaches I've shared today are safe for most people, but individual circumstances vary, and your doctor knows your specific medical history. My philosophy, developed over 18 years of practice, is that the best outcomes happen when we combine natural preventive strategies with appropriate medical care when needed. Neither approach alone is complete, but together they create comprehensive care that addresses both immediate symptoms and underlying causes. Let me summarize the key points so you can take action immediately. The hidden culprit behind most chronic throat mucus is silent reflux, where stomach acid irritates your throat without causing typical heartburn symptoms. The 5 foods making it worse are dairy products, sugar and sweetened items, fried and fatty foods, tomatoes and tomato products, and coffee, especially after mid-afternoon. The 3 powerful mucus-clearing foods are warm water with sea salt first thing in the morning and before bed, fresh ginger tea twice daily, and warm bone broth or vegetable broth in the afternoon. Your 72-hour action plan includes eliminating trigger foods, adding the 3 clearing foods, adjusting your eating schedule to finish dinner 3 hours before bed, staying consistently hydrated with warm liquids, and sleeping with your head elevated to reduce nighttime reflux. The truth is, most people suffering with chronic throat mucus don't need expensive medications or complicated treatments. What they need is to identify the hidden culprit and make targeted changes that address the root cause. That's exactly what I've given you today, the knowledge to understand what's happening and the practical tools to fix it. Your throat doesn't have to be a constant source of frustration and embarrassment. You don't have to spend your days clearing your throat and worrying about what people think. You don't have to accept this as a normal part of getting older. With the right approach, you can have a clear throat, a strong voice, and the comfort of knowing you're addressing the problem at its source. I want to ask you one final favor. If this video has given you valuable information and a clear path forward, please don't keep it to yourself. Share this video with family members, friends, or anyone you know who's dealing with chronic throat mucus. Post it on social media, send it in a text message, email the link to people you care about. One share from you could give someone else the relief they've been desperately seeking. If you found this video helpful, please watch the next video appearing on your screen right now. I've prepared it especially for subscribers of this channel, and it covers additional strategies for protecting your respiratory health and maintaining a clear, strong voice as you age. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Thank you for being willing to learn detailed information and take action rather than just looking for quick fixes. That tells me you're serious about your health, and I'm honoured to be part of your journey toward better well-being. Remember, your body is constantly communicating with you through symptoms like throat mucus. Don't ignore those messages. Don't just mask them with temporary solutions. Listen carefully, identify the real cause, and address it intelligently. That's how you create lasting health and lasting comfort. Take care of that throat. Implement what you've learned today, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, here's to clear throats, strong voices, and the confidence that comes from understanding and caring for your body properly.